Welcome back to Trading 360. I'm Marley Kayden, live in our Chicago headquarters. It's time to spotlight Lightbridge. Joining us now to help us do that, Seth Grae, President and CEO at Lightbridge Corp. Seth, it is so wonderful to see you. I feel as though every time we speak, you are joining me from some fantastic place. I believe last time it was Capitol Hill. Now you're joining us from Davos. So thank you for taking the time. I'd love to know your takeaways from Davos. We're hearing so much more discussion about nuclear than ever before out of the World Economic Forum. How different is this year than past years?
It was very interesting. A lot of people I spoke with who would not normally be in past years as enthusiastic about nuclear were this year, like people from environmental organizations and climate NGOs that have really gotten supportive of nuclear. From around the world, people concerned about their national security, concerned about nuclear power, wanting to see increased nuclear power in their countries. Really, the capstones were President Trump's speech when he said that nuclear is, such an important goal for the United States. And, at other parts of his talks, he talked about, the goal of quadrupling nuclear in the United States. And that's part of the U.S. goal of tripling it in the world. And then Elon Musk gave a talk where he talked about how the limiting factor for AI growth is electrical power. And that all comes together. So it was very much a very important topic. Obviously, Greenland and international security issues dominated overall. But right after that, I would say it was energy, with nuclear being the hottest topic.
And what do you think is the driver behind that? I mean, we hear this data center discussion. We know they're getting built. We know we need something to power them. They need energy. But what do you think is really changing the sentiment around it? Because that is the other component of nuclear. It's sort of the negative component. A lot of people don't look at nuclear in a positive light, but obviously Lightbridge trying to change that narrative too.
Right. So Lightbridge will bring tremendously more power and enhanced safety to the existing reactors. So you can get more power and enhanced safety before even building new reactors. And we're testing our fuel that will do that now in Idaho National Laboratory, where it's in a reactor. And we'll have results coming up in 2026. So it's a very important year for us. And I think that the data centers need constant, reliable electricity, and the companies prefer clean power. And when you talk about constant, reliable, and clean, and then you need to add massive amounts of it, you're talking about just staggering amounts of power that you really can't get there from here without nuclear as part of the mix. We all know that wind and solar are intermittent, but so in a sense are natural gas and even coal and hydro, in that there are times of day that they're just not providing full power, and the fuel has to be delivered constantly to coal and natural gas plants. Nuclear has years of fuel on the site. So it's really the most reliable producer of power for industries that need the most reliable electricity.
And Seth, you've made a point in the past, and I've also read quite a bit of commentary, that advanced nuclear companies often do not cooperate with each other. But Lightbridge is different in that you and Oklo are cooperating, are collaborating here. What led to that? Why are your two companies different? And why are you deciding to buck the trend?
I think that one reason why a lot of the advanced nuclear companies haven't been able to find anyone else to cooperate with who's also an advanced nuclear company is because they're too competitive with each other and don't really want to help each other. And what Lightbridge and Oklo do are different enough that we're not really competitors. Lightbridge is going to fuel more powerful, larger reactors than Oklo will fuel. Oklo will also focus, in addition to electricity, on heat and high quality steam for industry. Lightbridge is focusing only on producing electricity. And another reason why they don't find ways to cooperate with each other and other companies is that what they do is just too different. Their technologies are so different and how they're approaching it. There's really not much they could do to cooperate. Whereas Oklo and Lightbridge, even though we have such different technologies, they both use similar materials, particularly a metallic form of what's called high assay low enriched uranium and zirconium metal, and need the same licensing for security and other purposes around that. And we even are looking into co-locating our fuel manufacturing facilities together. So we're finding, even though we're not competitive and we have different technology, we have enough that we could do together to really collaborate, including potentially using using Oklo's technology to reprocess Lightbridge's used fuel and use the resulting materials in Oklo fuel. So there's a lot of things we're looking into together.
And Seth, how important is collaboration to the speed of meeting these needs? Because we've seen the administration and the Department of Energy really trying to help push this ahead because they know that the need is basically now. How important are these types of relationships and partnerships to Lightbridge eventually being able to get its fuel approved and get it into these reactors to power these already existing large-scale nuclear reactors?
Yeah, all of us as entities don't have everything we need to succeed. And the more that we could use resources, infrastructure that others have to move forward faster, the better. Certainly, Lightbridge is utilizing tremendous capabilities at Idaho National Laboratory, which is extremely helpful to us, and so is Oklo, and that's working both at the lab, partly where we're learning about each other. And we're all going to rely on everyone from mining companies to enrichment companies. Lightbridge is working closely, getting advised by utilities, looking for their advice on exactly what they're looking for in their reactors. So this has to be collaborative. None of us can do this ourselves.
And Seth, we're running a little tight on time, but I do have one final question for you. I want to check in on a timeline here. I know you're in the testing phases in the reactors at Idaho National Lab. Do you have any sort of timeline on approvals?
Yeah, and we'll put out a model in the next few months, but we're expecting the first outage in the reactor at Idaho to come in about April, and during the summer or fall, we'll have some results of examining the fuel samples that come out of that reactor. And we're looking, in a several-year period at initial rods in commercial reactors powering U.S. cities, and then several years later at the full, what's called lead test assemblies in commercial reactors in the U.S. And we're, during this period, going to be building our own fuel fabrication facility, too. So it's going to be, a very good 2026 and then subsequent years.
It's all very exciting. It will follow what was a very good 2025 for Lightbridge as well. Seth, we appreciate you taking the time to join us from Davos. I think it's dinner time there, so I hope you enjoy your evening. But thanks again for being with us. Seth Grae, President and CEO at Lightbridge.